I'm getting to my last question. The one thing I'm interested in, as you know, I live in Spain.
Mhm.
Here, well, not just in Spain, but in Europe, things are very different, especially in regards to the school system. And you just mentioned you're homeschooling your kids. That's something here that, at least in Spain, as far as I know, that's not even legal. You can't do that. I'm just wondering, what made you decide this, and how does it work?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, froze for a second. What is it and how does it work? Yeah.
Yeah.
So homeschool is just what it sounds like. Your kids don't go to a public school or a private school. They stay at home and you teach them. So think, if you're in America, think sort of like pioneer days when people were building log cabins on the prairie and they went to school right there at home, and you teach your kids to read and to do math. The way that it works, I mean, you have to get registered through the state, and once they get old enough, they have to do testing and everything.
Mhm.
But there's curriculum. I mean, hundreds, maybe thousands of different curriculum you can buy to teach your kids. So just like you'll find textbooks in school, they have that available to people who homeschool their kids. So you could have one curriculum that covers every subject. So like I could buy one curriculum brand that has a science and a math section and a history. Or some people like pick and choose. They're like, well, I like the science from this one, but the math from this one. So it's basically just sit your kid down every day and here's your math sheet. And you just, when you need to draw on the whiteboard, you write out math problems for them. But it's not as ours isn't as structured as people who don't homeschool think it is. They're like, okay, so it should be. We try to, but life just isn't like that. You know what I mean? Because we have, like this morning, the kids have an art class, so they went to that at 10 o'clock. On Tuesday, they go to an all-day homeschool co-op with other homeschool kids. And so it's basically like that feels like real school to them. They get 1 day a week of real school where they're learning with other kids, eating lunch, having gym. So that's, that kind of lets them feel what real school feels like. And it's fun because that way they have friends, they're socialized. And people are always worried about, do they get socialized? But I mean, we have play dates all the time. We have kids in our neighborhood. There's opportunity out there to make sure your kid has friends and is getting socialized. That's probably the biggest question I get with homeschooling. But sometimes it looks like wake up and you do your math sheet before breakfast because you're feeling it, like you want to do it. And there's some days where you're fighting to get your kid to do their math sheet. It's fun because you can teach at your own pace. And every moment is a teaching moment. We're just reading books and showing them words in the books. I think for me, one of the biggest blessings that I see in it that I didn't anticipate was that since we're responsible for our kids' education, we are constantly thinking, what can I teach this kid?
Mhm.
Whereas I don't want to knock other types of schools, but if someone else is teaching your kid and they ask you a question or you're thinking they need to learn this, you're thinking someone else will teach them that. But it's such a privilege to be able to just teach virtually everything to your kids. Not that other parents can't do it. I mean, they can teach them anything they want to, but me, I'm in this role as a homeschool dad where I'm conditioned to think like this responsibility is on my shoulders to teach my kids pretty much everything. So we have fun ways of learning. People talk about so much time is wasted in public school. I'm not saying that I think that, because I think we waste time at home too. I'm just saying we can be more intentional with every minute of our day, and we can have recess when the child needs recess rather than, man, the child is going flipping ape right now, but we can't get him outside for another hour because that's when our recess time is. As an adult, we know sometimes we have to leave and go outside and take a walk right now. We can't wait an hour. We have that luxury as adults, but we expect kids to live according to our timeline, our agenda, our schedule, and to act accordingly. But it's like every kid is so different and has so many different needs at different times of the day that you sort of have to be in tune and listen to the needs of your child and act accordingly.
Absolutely, I like that. What was the choice? Why did you say okay? Because did any of them go to school in the beginning, or how did that come about to make the decision? Okay, yeah, we prefer
Yeah,
to keep kids at home.
we just were kind of looking at our public school options, and we weren't crazy about our situation. So we were like, okay, we could do private school, which is really expensive, by the way. And we thought, if we have this many kids, it's going to be tough. We're going to be having to make some serious sacrifices if we're going to do private school. And we knew about homeschool. So that just ended up initially being the logistically the best choice for us with where we were and the community we were around. But it is important for us to now have a list of why do we do it. Because a lot of times when my wife needs to vent and she'll go to someone who doesn't homeschool, they'll be like, why don't you just public school? I mean, the answer is so easy for them. Just stop doing that crazy thing that you're doing. And my wife's tempted to go, yeah, you're right. But we have to remember why we're doing it. We have to have our reasons. So every once in a while we sort of go through, okay, and we haven't listed them out yet, which is what we need to do, and sort of have a family mission statement, which we're working on. But we have to remember, I travel. And since I travel, it's nice to have a more flexible schedule so that I can spend time with them during the day if I need to. Sometimes, since they're not in school, if I have a road trip and my gig's 4 hours away, we'll all jump in the minivan and go. Something that you couldn't do with public school without worrying about what work are they going to have to make up when they come back. So with my job, my lifestyle, it is the way to live for us. I mean, I love waking up every day like I'm at school, and we eat breakfast together. We start the day together. It's just good for us. And not to mention the whole, some of the things I've heard that they've been learning in public school. And I know that there's that whole debate, well, you can't shelter a kid forever, but sometimes people in public school will surprise the parents, and the kids will learn graphic things, terms they shouldn't be learning yet. I'm way far over the line. And then the parents have now lost that control of, I was the one who was going to teach you that, who was going to tell you about that when the time was right. Okay. Not to say that things aren't going to slip through the cracks too with homeschooling, but just some of the things that are being taught out there. We're just thankful that we have a say in the timing and the manner in which that's going to be taught. So those are just a couple, and that's the tip of the iceberg on the reasons we homeschool.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I was really interested, and since I heard already before that you were homeschooling, I had that one down. I think that was the first one I written down because I want to see how other people do that and see hopefully how I can organize that maybe in the future. And maybe, who knows, maybe you have to move to America to set that up.
You can't do it in Spain. It's not allowed.
As far as I know, no, you can't. No, they have to go to school. Yeah. And there's more countries in Europe. It's changing a little bit. I know in the UK, for example, I got a friend over there who does homeschool. So it will come. But as you know, or I don't know if you know, but usually what happens in America then slowly flows here. Movies, everything, books, all that stuff. So
I hope that's true of homeschooling too. There's people here that want to shut it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but I mean, there's pushback here for homeschooling. So that's something you might, I don't think we need to get into, but you might look into that also. So.
Excellent. Great. Hey man, I hope you got all the information out that you were looking for. If so, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you hit the bell, then every time we come out with a new video, you will be informed. For now, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you soon.